When I was a kid growing up, I was one of the kids that was very musically confused. And what I mean by that is I had a lot of friends that were either just into new wave or just into punk or just into metal or just into rock music or 80s music. And I kind of listened to everything. And there was really good music in all styles of music. And that's what I started learning early on. And one of the reasons why I started to be musically confused is because I worked at a record store. That was the first job I ever had. I actually had that job before I was even supposed to start working. So I was there a couple years before I was legally able to work. And I started taking stuff home that I just generally would not go and drop 10, $15 on. Everything from Creedence Clearwater Revival to The Police to Depeche Mode to Slayer to, I mean, you name it. And I was just like, wow, yeah, this is cool. Wow, this is cool. Wow, this is cool. But it wasn't really until I started listening to metal music and hardcore music, like punk hardcore, like DRI, bands like that, that I really wanted to start getting into wanting to actually play music. So that's when I started playing drums, was mainly because of metal music. And I think it was the intensity and the aggression behind it. And I wasn't really a problematic kid. I just really liked the fact that you were able to beat up on something and everything's cool. It's fine. You didn't break anything. That's part of the job. So started playing drums, apparently got really good at it, and started jamming with a bunch of different bands. No real names, just like, me getting together with friends. And one of the interesting things about when I started playing drums was I maybe was playing drums by myself for maybe 3-4 months. And after that started jamming with guitar players, with different bands. And so most of my training was in songwriting, writing with guitar players. So before I even really taught myself how to play drums correctly, I was already writing songs. And obviously turned it into a real career. It wasn't until like maybe 88 when I started jamming with Dino Cazares, who was the original guitar player for Fear Factory. He was doing a different band. I was doing my own thing with a few other people, and we got together and started writing. It kind of clicked, and then it was like, okay, well now we need a singer, and we need a bass player, and yeah, I mean, after a while, we got the right guy in there, do vocals. We had a bass player, and we had behold, lo and behold, we had this band now, and we got signed with Fear Factory in '92. So I mean, we were only together for a few years, and not even religiously doing the band. Our whole goal in the band was to write music. It wasn't so much about playing shows. Everybody that we were, I guess, colleagues with other bands, they were all about doing shows at the Hollywood Strip, doing shows in LA, going on tour. And it's like, well, our mentality was, well, we'd rather write demos and write more music, put demos together, and then send that out and get that to labels. So we had a different mentality about that. So within 5 or 6 months that we were doing the band, we had like maybe 3 or 4 demos, which is a lot of demos considering 5-6 months. And that was our whole thing. Like, let's just get demos done. Let's keep writing songs. Let's just keep, So by the time we actually got signed into our first record, which ironically enough, I was a senior in high school when we got signed, we already had like 25 songs, 25, 26 songs before we went in to record our first record, official record with Roadrunner Records. And so yeah, we went in there. Our debut release had 17 songs on it, which was a lot of songs, but not when you take into consideration that we had 25, 26 songs. You spend half of your life on the road touring, and the other half you're, either writing or recording, or you're in the studio, or you're marketing your record, and so on and so forth. And part of the marketing is obviously touring. So yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I've seen it take a toll on many people that are married, people that are very close to their families, because you got to be on the road for so long, sometimes, 3, 4, 5 months at a time. And, Fear Factory is very well known for being a touring band. I think the most we toured on one record was maybe 4 years, which is a really long time to tour. And, you get to travel all over the place, but you don't really get to see what you would see if you were a real person on vacation, on an actual vacation. So yeah, it gets a little weird when you have to fly a lot and the time changes, and you want to stay close to your either wives, girlfriends, family members, and That's probably one of the tougher things about being in a band, but there's a lot of really cool things about being in a band as well, you know. And luckily, we've been able to do this for as long as we have now. You know, I think we're going on 15, 16 years now. And that's kind of, that's a real feat when you kind of think about how bands kind of come and go nowadays. I mean, it's so flavor of the month. You know, if your record's here this week, it's gone in, you know, next month. And so we've been able to kind of get through that by being able to tour a lot, where we've got enough of a fan base where people want to come and see our band and want to hear the next record, and when's the next record coming out, and when are you guys coming out again on tour. And so it's really cool that, you know, we kind of created a demand for ourselves among our fans. My favorite Fear Factory record is probably the Archetype record. Archetype was our, was our fifth record. And it's probably my favorite record because it came off of a breakup. You know, Fear Factory had a breakup for a little while, or we kind of went away for a little while. And there was a member lineup change, and there was, you know, we weren't with Roadrunner Records anymore. We had to change labels. So it was all this negativity towards the band. So it's almost like with Archetype, we had so much to prove, not just musically, but still, you know, proving to people that Fear Factory can still sound like Fear Factory. And being able to write a really good, strong record, and then being able to follow it up with a lot of touring, and that's exactly what we did. So only because we had so much to prove is probably one of my favorite records, you know. So it's definitely become easier to get your product to the right people, but now there's so many people doing it that it's almost not as easy as, I think there was a time maybe around between 98 and 2000 where it was still an advantage, where now you can get it to the right people quicker. But I think now there's so many people doing music that there's probably more bands now than there ever has been before. So it's like now it's become, you know, the barrier to entry has become so difficult now again because everybody's doing it. As far as newer bands coming up, and you know, I think one of the best things that you can do is just concentrate on songwriting, not worry about what you're going to look like on stage or what your band's going to look like on stage. More about how good your songs are and what it is that you're bringing to, you know, to the music industry or to people that is really going to set you apart from, let's say, the other 99 billion bands that are out there. And I mean, if all else, as long as you've got good songs, that should definitely carry you at least to far enough where you can maybe take it to the next level. My favorite drummer of all time, I'm going to have to say, is Pete Sandoval. Pete Sandoval is more known for the band Morbid Angel, but I originally started listening to him when he was in a band called Terrorizer. And they were, Terrorizer was like a local, an LA local grindcore band. So it's really, really fast music. And one of the things that intrigued me about Pete Sandoval was how fast he was able to play and how tight he was able to do it. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of lacking, or that I've noticed it's lacking in like the past 5-10 years in metal is a lot of drummers. There's a lot of really, really fast drummers, but there aren't really too many fast drummers that are really creative and can really kind of take a song and really make it their own thing. And I think that's one of the things that I've been able to bring to metal music is, you know, I bring this kind of character, and you know, I have these influences, or I adapt this style to metal it's very rhythmic. It's a lot more rhythmic than many other bands. I have my own style in the sense that it's based around rudiments and patterns, rather than just kind of doing a 4/4 beat and just kind of keeping the rhythm with a band. So, you know, Pete Sandoval was like the first guy that I seen that was able to kind of play as fast as he does and as tight as he does, but bring it to, he was essentially able to take grindcore but mix it in with punk music, and it was just like, I'd never heard that before. And to me, it was groundbreaking for me. You can find more information on me at RaymondHerrera.com. That's www.RaymondHerrera.com.